Goodness gracious. I know. What have I done here? Oh my God. It's possibly one of the best sounds I've heard for ASMR. Is it up there with that? I don't know. But I'm digging it. Going with a red theme tonight. Good evening, everybody. After work this evening, I ordered some food, ordered some P.F. Chang's, sort of franchise, fast food, Chinese food kind of place, and ate it and sat on the couch, and then I lied down on the couch, and then I fell asleep on the couch. And I woke up about 30 minutes ago. So, it's way too much red in this scene. This isn't right. This light isn't even on. The exposure's kind of weird. Shouldn't be wearing a red shirt with red background lights. Oh, and a red chair. I mean, this is hyper in the red channel. But I didn't have the time. I didn't have the time to go over it all and try and do like a really nice looking setup this evening. But I did get the phone tonight. I got the phone and I'm thrilled with it because it was $20. It's $20 on eBay. And I was like, there's no way. I'll bet you the rotary part isn't functioning, or there's something up with it. But it's freaking awesome. It's better. Like I think it's in the basement. I have another rotary phone that I use for videos, which is in much better shape. But it does not sound that good. And it looks just like the phone. So I'm excited about this phone because I want to do a video on a recent movie, The Black Phone, which is starring Ethan Hawke and written by the same person or directed by the same person who directed Sinister, and based on a short story by Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's son. I saw the movie. I didn't think it was the greatest movie in the world. I won't give any spoilers here or anything, but I didn't think it was the greatest movie in the world. I didn't even think it was particularly good, but I thought it had some good villainous iconography that I could capitalize on. And I like doing that stuff. I don't know why. I mean, the seed of the story, I think, is pretty good, right? It's in the 70s, so you got the 70s aesthetic going, which is great. And you got a guy called the Grabber, name not great, who's kidnapping kids. And kidnaps one kid, and the short story starts with a kid in a basement, and there's a phone on the wall. And basically, the kid can, like, talk to all of the Grabber's previous victims, and they band together to formulate essentially Home Alone. Imagine if Home Alone was a little darker. Instead of Joe Pesci, you have Ethan Hawke. It's like, and it's not his home. It's kind of like that. Kind of like Home Alone. If Macaulay Culkin was instead of watching TV to get all the information for how he was going to mess with them, their house burglars. house burglars. He's getting the information from not just a black phone, but the black phone. So, yeah, you'd be very right if you were getting It vibes. Similar aesthetic. I mean, the guy has balloons. Like, there's definitely and it's Stephen King's son, right? So, and I don't know if anyone here has read much Joe Hill, but he's very much Stephen King's son. When you read at least his short works, you could think you're reading Stephen King light. Light, is that fair? Yeah, light. I mean, there's some amount of flair that maybe is missing. But hey, what do you want? Let me turn this light on because that's going to bug me. Can I turn the light on? I'm going to keep the game away here. That didn't help. That didn't even help a little. That made it worse. That made it unbalanced now. Now I gotta... This is fun. Imagine this is usually what I will do before a stream starts. I will sit here with my phone and this app, and I will fiddle with the lighting. Ooh. Green? Oh, should I make it really bright? No, that's too bright. Or you make it super dim. People talk about, like, you can get really cheap LED lights, and then they're like, but aperture lights are like a little more expensive than regular LED lights. They're not that much more expensive, but they're a little bit more expensive. But if you take a color like this, like teal, right, with one of those cheaper LED lights, once you get down to around here, there's no teal. It just becomes green or blue, right? But it can't do that. Oh, no, it can't do that. No. Aperture lights can do that. That's so dim. Like, it's hard for you to... Well, I guess you can tell. It's so dim, it's like not even illuminating anything outside the glass there, right? Too pretty bright, right? So, if you're into... Let's see if I can get it to match the light on the other side there, kind of. Bring it down. At least we get a little bit more of an aesthetic going on there. I mean, I could spend the next 20 minutes easily messing around with all of these and getting them. Gotta get that one perfect. All right, not too bright. Like, the idea is to just kind of accent the stuff that's there, right? That's too red. There you go. But even that's a little bright, like that. See, it almost looks like that's light from the light above. But it's not. That's the magic. All right, I guess I'm doing this. Yeah, because you're too red. You're too red, and I don't like it. I'll bring you down a little bit. All right, I'll leave the others. They're okay. They're all right. Thought I had a ponytail. No, these are my in-ears. Which I need, otherwise I can't hear stuff like... Oh, can't hear that anyway, because guess what? I muted all my sound effects. Can't hear stuff like...
Prince Andrew?
Like, how could I don't know how I could get through a stream without hearing...
Prince Andrew?
At least like...
Prince Andrew?
4 or 5 times. And an inadvertent comic book character voice. Okay, hi. It's June 29th, 2023. This is episode 74 of Beyond the Double Red Doors, which I really wish I had called this stream something else, because that name is a mouthful. And what does it mean? And I mean, I know what it means, and probably the people here know what it means because, y'all have been around. Butterfly Composer, Q, KJ, Katarina, Ansel, Voice Quills. How are you doing, Voice Quills? Olivia, hi. Voice Quills, look at that check. So Voice Quills got the YouTube check mark. I can't see it because I'm in Ecamm as usual. But congratulations, Voice Quills. That's a good feeling. Hi, Olivia, Kelsey. Yeah, you know what, Kelsey? It has been a while. So welcome back. I don't know if you picked the best night, but here you go. Look, nobody has fallen asleep on the couch. I haven't been sleeping well the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 nights. Guess what I don't have? Oh my God. How could I have overlooked this? I don't have a Coke. I'm trying to eat healthier and exercise. Maybe but I would think that would make me sleep better, if anything. The past few nights have just been not great. Not great. So I apologize for no, I don't apologize. I'm not going to apologize. I apologize for everything. Yeah, I fell asleep on the couch. So what? This is the hey, you're the one tuning in. Maybe this is part of the problem. Well, no, this is the consequence of the problem. Now it's going to be hard for me to go to sleep again tonight. And on it goes until I die. Hey, Ms. I was about to put your message up, but then I saw what it said. Oh, are you referring to the scene where he's got his shirt off? Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird scene. Because he is kind of meaty. Like in just a meaty way. Like I don't know. Didn't love it. The movie really nailed the 70s aesthetic. I was vibing with it just from that, right? Just like the whole lead up, which I know it's like Stranger Things did it. And it's the thing now too. I mean, it has been for a while, right? Once everyone who grew up in the 70s became an adult, they started making the nostalgia stuff that romanticized the 70s, and like Freaks and Geeks did it really well. And this movie did it really well. Did the 70s really well, has a really iconic villain. He just kind of sucks. And the movie's not great. Like, it made some stylistic choices that I won't talk about, but it made a couple of choices that I was just kind of like, ugh, that was blah. And it had, I will give away this, it had jump scares. In fact, the only thing really actually in any way frightening about that movie were the jump scares. I don't know, you can't really call it a horror movie, I wouldn't say. It certainly was not on the level of like Sinister, which I think Sinister was, a proper horror movie, which, divisive movie, but if you're into horror, Sinister was. I'm talking crap about this movie that I want to do a video on really bad. And I'm going to. I got the mask. You may have seen, or maybe you didn't see. In case you didn't see, I didn't get to do any of this. This is just going to appear huge now. Yeah. It's the mask. That's me sitting here with a mask and a red turtleneck doing jazz hands. Yeah, but it kind of, whatever. There is a scene from the movie that kind of looks like that. So I was all right with the way that turned out. Hey, Lisa Shabana, how are you doing? I don't want to talk about how long ago the 70s is. I don't want to think about it. This is true, Ms., right? Like, okay, so the short story for The Black Phone is what, like 20 pages long, maybe? And they definitely just padded the hell out of it. But one of the ways that they padded the hell out of it was they told the stories of the kids. Now, actually, that was like the part of the movie I liked the most because it was like different archetypes of kids. You know, you had the bully, you know, you had the kid protecting other kids from the bully. You had the little sister. There was a few archetypes that they went into like their backstories, and in doing so, like that was for me like one of the most enjoyable parts of the movie. I thought, okay, I did see the trailer for Smile, and I thought it looked like the dumbest thing in the world. I'm sorry. So first off, 30 minutes of trailers, a full 30 minutes of trailers, which I guess is the norm now, but I've never really like kind of timed it. And I felt like I was there on business. You know, I was like, okay, I need to see this movie because I want to do a video of it. So I will get there precisely when it starts, and then I will immediately leave and get home, and it's going to be like this. And the movie started 30 minutes, actually more than that, like 32 or 33 minutes after its stated runtime, because 30 minutes of trailers. One of those was a trailer for Smile, which you know exactly. I mean, Smile is just, it's The Ring. And that was, here's something else about the trailer for Smile. Really got to me, like, right, you see these movies that will have, from the writers that brought you this, or, and there's like a scale of like, here's, you know, if it's, oh, let me get rid of this. Sorry. We can get my future grabber video on the screen. There's a scale, right? So you'll get like a movie that comes out and then it'll say, you know, from the director who brought you blah, blah, blah. That's an endorsement, right? From the writer or writers who brought you this, right? That's pretty good too. Some might say like maybe that's better than director. I wouldn't say that. I would say like a director is generally a better gauge of like the quality of a movie you're going to see than a writer. But you know, whatever. You could argue that point, right? Then beneath that is from the producers that brought you blah, 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 right? Those are just the money people, right? Like the people who got things done. They have nothing to do with the creative endeavor. So I don't know like what the, you know, I guess they have something to do with the vetting process, right? So maybe the idea there is like, look, the same people who thought this was a good movie also think this was a good movie. But the trailer for Smile, it said from a producer, from a producer of The Ring, which I could not get over, right? If it weren't for the fact that that was like 25 minutes into trailers, I probably would have been laughing out loud because that seemed like the weakest endorsement I'd ever read from a producer of The Ring. Like, what is going on with that? I don't know. So I didn't think, and that's what the Smile, I'm saying the Smile. That's what Smile seemed like to me, was The Ring, except somebody smiles at you. And it's, you know, it's that smile where they just exaggerate this part a little bit using Liquify in Photoshop. You know, and then when they smile at you, you have 7 days until you die and smile at somebody else. I don't know. Yeah, voice quills, yeah, took off. It was very impressive. Very, very, very proud, although I have no reason to be, but I am. Hey, Ava. KJ Oh, well, we're a little slow tonight. We haven't really started talking about what we're going to talk about tonight, or at least what I think I'm going to talk about tonight. Hi. Oh, and then there was also the trailer for Bodies, 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 the new Pete Davidson vehicle, which I don't know, man. I want to hate it, but I'll probably see it. There you go. That, and I watched Crimes of the Future, which is David Cronenberg's latest movie. It's weird. I mean, it's David Cronenberg, so you can imagine. But this is not like History of Violence or Crash, David Cronenberg. This is like Dead Ringers and Existence, David Cronenberg, but taken to another level. I don't want to. That one I don't want to talk about too much because it's just going to make people vomit. But it's pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. Right, I'm into body horror, and I'm into sci-fi dystopias. Right, and this was both. And I mean, David Cronenberg and Viggo Mortensen are now kind of like hitched. I felt like he wasn't really right for this part. And that's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it. David Cronenberg can suck it. Am I looking forward to Nope? Yeah, obviously there's another trailer for Nope. I've seen about 6 different trailers for Nope now. This last one that I saw, which was for the Black Phone, revealed more, right? Like it just made it seem like, oh, it's aliens. And it had a little bit of that Doctor Who, like if you don't look, they don't take you. Stay still, don't look, they don't take you. The ravenous bug bladder beast of Trail. So I'm going to see it because I like Jordan Peele. I really liked Get Out. I didn't like Us as much, but I still liked it. I just hope that the third data point doesn't continue that line downwards. Oh, yes, I also saw X with Mia Goth. Yeah, I watched a lot of movies this week. I went into X thinking it was going to be one thing, and it started going another direction, and I was like, this is really cool that it's going this direction, because this was sold as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, crazy old family out in the woods, and a bunch of youngins come in, and they're up for the chop. It started going a different direction, like a sort of philosophical, metaphysical direction. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely here for this. This is pretty cool. But it didn't follow through with that promise. But I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what I originally thought I was going to enjoy it for, which was, slasher fun, right? And I just felt like it almost seemed like while they were shooting it, they had the idea that they were like, it definitely wasn't while they were shooting it, because there's a key casting choice that makes it clear what they're going for. And I was like, I originally thought, I was like, when I noticed this, I was like, okay, I think I know where they're going with this, and I think that that's really, really cool. that they're doing that because that's really catching you off guard. But they didn't do it. And I can't really say anymore without giving away too much. Oh no, Ava. Did I miss? Did you have COVID? Oh, feverish. Okay, well, hopefully not COVID. Well, it's strange because it's funny you say that because there's a thing in horror movies that I also can't take, and they did it in X, and they did it in Hereditary, and they do it in like tons of horror movies, and it's just like the thing that they did it in Oculus. The thing that I can't take about horror movies is like banal gore. So like, fine, machete, right? No problem, right? An axe, great, go for it, But a carpet nail sticking up out of the floor, and somebody at night walking barefoot, like that will just make me. I will want to fast forward through that or look away, like just because like that's like, I guess it just hits closer to home, as a more realistic scenario than, for instance, Crimes of the Future, where they're growing new organs and performing surgery as art, because in the future we have overcome pain and we exhibit things like surgery as art, which is a cool idea, I thought. I think they did some neat things with it too. And it had a little bit of a Scanner Darkly in it, which I like too, So it was like a little Philip K. Dick, a little Kurt Vonnegut, a little David Cronenberg, a little Viggo Mortensen. I know exactly where people walked out. Like I'd read that at Con that people walked out, and I was like, oh, this must be where people walked out. Right. And it actually wasn't even like a gory scene. It was something else I won't mention. But yeah, I was not necessarily a fan of what it was that made people walk out of Crimes of the Future. Well, let me be more specific. I was not a fan of the part of Crimes of the Future that I think people walked out on. But hey, David Cronenberg, you do you. I didn't want to start talking about movies originally, like especially this early, because what happened with Trump, and this is allegedly, right? What happened with him in The Beast on January 6th with 2 Secret Service agents, pretty fucking hilarious, and in like a watching the world burn kind of way. I know that, yes, Ms. It's another example of that. Although in everything, everywhere, everything all the time, everywhere all the time, all at once, everything all the time, all at once, everything everywhere all at once. At least in that, like it was so overt, like it was like he was really, really trying, like it was action packed. It wasn't like this slow burn and then just like showing a close up of the piece of paper and reaching for the piece of paper. And like, it didn't have the dread. And there was so much going on that it kind of masked it. But yeah, I didn't love that. Another great movie, though. Really, really like that. So yes, X, thumbs up for X. Thumbs up for Crimes of the Future. And really like thumbs up for The Black Phone. Just not as unreservedly as I would have liked. I can't imagine that Elvis is any good. I just can't. Like everything I've seen about it just makes me want to vomit. But that's pretty much everything. Well, no. Oh, I watched an Amazon series called Chloe. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to say anything about it. It's a modern retelling of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, essentially. Which, if you're not familiar with the book Rebecca or the Hitchcock movie Rebecca, please, you should be familiar with it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And Chloe is very much like, this is modern day Rebecca with add in social media and all the ways that like people can be made to feel inferior to other people, in all ways that, your mind kind of plays tricks on you about what people are thinking and doing, and FOMO and et cetera, right? But I'll tell you, it's like a 6-part series, Chloe, and I love slow burns. I'm a huge fan of slow burns, but that Chloe should have been about half as long as it was, because I did not need, like, it hits you with the point, then it hits you with it again, and then in the next episode it hits you with it about 3 more times, making sure is like, did you get this? Did you get it? Wait, okay, that thing from the last episode, did you get it? Did you get it? Let me show you again, so be sure you got it. I understand that there's like a precedent for these 6-episode British series. Some things only need 3 episodes, right? Usually it goes the other way. Usually they try to cram too much into a 90-minute movie. Oh, this is both The Black Phone and Chloe, I think, had that in common. They were stretching material that should have been shown in a smaller length of time. But by all means, like, I thought Chloe was really well acted. It was just fucking long. And a couple of the casting choices were weird, but... Elvis is a fun cinema film, very loud, fun music. Kind of like Elvis movies, right? I gotta win this race. Oh, interesting. Well, maybe I'm, I don't know. I'm not a big Elvis fan, but something about like Tom Hanks as Tom Parker just kind of rubbed me. Not in a good way. Anyway, so Trump apparently on January 6th, for those of you who aren't aware of it, January 6th, of course, the day that the Capitol was stormed, Trump was at the White House in the presidential limo, wanting to go to the Capitol. Like, this is so, well, this part is definitely true because there's actual footage of him leaving in the limousine and then coming back to the White House. So his intent was to get over to the Capitol where the mobs of people were. And you know that this is, this is what he wanted right here. He wanted this. This is what he wanted. He wanted to get over to the Capitol. He wanted to be with his people, and he wanted to lead them into the Capitol, like Washington over the Delaware. Like, this originally appeared in the New Yorker, I think, like right around the time he was elected, with the swamp, of course, being the swamp that he was going to drain, etc. But really, like, pretty crazy, the testimony at the hearings, that he got into the Beast and was then informed by the Secret Service agent that it was unsafe for him to go to the Capitol because people had weapons. And now this is the part that's alleged. Allegedly, he said, "I'm the effing president. Take me to the Capitol." Tried to grab the steering wheel, and when he was restrained, then like grabbed the clavicle of somebody. I don't know. Like, if that's true, what the fuck, man? Like, who is this person, right? Like, it almost seems like a little too it's weird because like I could see like in the moment, like in his head, he's like, this is the part in the movie where I overcome, like people are trying to stop me. People in my own camp trying to stop me from getting to my people and leading them to hang Mike Pence, who is like my buddy. So imagine what I'm going to do to you, because I'm going to fucking hang Mike Pence. And apparently I kind of liked him. But I could see like in his head the scene where he's like, this is the moment. I have to rise to the moment. I have to try to grab the steering wheel. Kind of, maybe it was even a half-hearted attempt. No, I've got to at least make it look good. I don't know. He has that documentary. Maybe I think there were only 2 people in the car. But for the movie in his head, like maybe he had to do it for the movie in his head. He's like, this is the part I'm going to look back on and be like, I tried to go to the Capitol, but they wouldn't let me. So I don't know. They're going to look into, apparently, the Secret Service agents now are saying that the story is not accurate. But they need to, there's only 2 of them. They need to testify, right? Like that needs to be on the record. And if they refuse to go on the record, then, then they're clearly like just saying it to save their own skins. Because, if you're a Secret Service agent, I mean, you got the word secret in your name. You probably don't want to be known for blabbing about how the person you're supposed to be protecting was acting like a petulant infant, right? This is so great. Like, I want Butterfly Composer to write my epitaph. I guess you all would call it an epigram, wouldn't you? Oh, you misspelled capital, but that's right. You also didn't capitalize it. So it'll be interesting to see if the Secret Service agents testify. But I think if they don't, then it's reasonable to, like, I don't know why this person would lie. This person is like a pretty serious right-winger. It's Mark Meadows' assistant or chief of staff. And worked for Ted Cruz. Which is, I don't know, maybe it's a sign that she's a terrible person and a liar. Yes, this is a good example of Trump is probably like, yeah, I liked getting photographed with Queen Elizabeth because I was actually significantly taller than she was, which is quite a feat. About 2 feet. So we also know what happened with Roe v. Wade and Stephen Breyer tendered his resignation. He's retiring from the bench after almost 30 years, clearing the way for Ketanji Brown Jackson, which is, it's really, for the time being at least, it's probably going to be like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But it will be nice to have her there. I wonder if it's going to change the dynamic of the court at all. I'm still like, I don't hear people saying this, and I may just be completely wrong. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I may just be completely wrong, but to me, pretend it's there. I feel like so many, I don't feel like Supreme Court justices always vote or always rule the way they believe they should rule. Now, I know everybody's like, yes, of course they don't. They just, align with their party. But I'm talking about like when they go against what their party line is. I feel like it seems to me like it's just very calculated. Like I know we brought up like the John Roberts thing before, right? Like he's trying to sell the idea that the court is impartial. So he often sides with liberals in minority opinions. He will sometimes write the dissent, right? Like I don't know if I personally don't think that's because that's what he actually believes. I think like any of them, like they could each, I mean, they're skilled enough in the art of rhetoric that they could choose to do either side. They could devil's advocate their way out of anything and write a convincing, or, at least a more than spurious, like something that would pass muster, right? For either side of any one of these issues. So I kind of feel like that's what Roberts was doing. I feel like that's what Gorsuch did with I think it was the Blackfeet Indians. Like he actually sided with Native Americans and their right to self-govern. There was a whole bunch of cases that were before the Supreme Court that they needed to wrap up before their session ended, which I think it ended, or it ends this week, or it ended today or tomorrow, something like that. But Stephen Breyer's gone. A Clinton appointee. He was 1994. So some more young blood being brought in. But anyway, obviously the big thing is Roe v. Wade. I don't know what's there to say about it that hasn't been said. It hurts. It's like one of those things that I never thought that was going to happen. Like I even have like a Facebook post that I went back and found the day Trump was elected, and I read something like, essentially it's mark my words, this means Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. And I believed it then. In 2016, and I was very afraid of Trump. Like in 2016, I was afraid of what would happen. I thought he would be a more effective foil than he was. I thought he would be able to get more crappy things done, although he appointed a shit ton of judges, right? Appointed 3 Supreme Court judges. Who knows how many state level judges? Like, I don't even know what the number is. It's huge. Arguably the single most important, enduring thing a president can do is judge appointments and pardons. No, judge appointments. Pardons doesn't really go on that list. Wait, what is? Yeah, I don't think that Trump is actually 6'3". I don't know that that's true. I mean, that's what he says. That's how tall he says he is. He says a lot of stuff. Where was I? Right. So even though like at that moment, like when Trump was elected, because of the sort of volatile nature of everything at that time, I certainly felt like, oh yeah, fuck, Roe v. Wade's going to be overturned. The January 6th committee just subpoenaed Pat, I don't know how to say his name, Pat Cipollone? But it was his ex-aide, Cassidy, who did the thing, who said the thing about the Trump in the limo. So now they're going to get a little more, slightly closer to the horse's mouth. He wasn't in the. Well, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'll be watching attentively. Anyway, so when Trump was elected, I definitely was not feeling good about the future or anything, because like I said, I thought he'd be much better at disassembling and getting consensus than he was. So there definitely was a time where I was like, oh shit, Roe v. Wade's going to be overturned. And, then when the more judges he appointed, that was crazy. I mean, a third of the Supreme Court judges were appointed by a man who was impeached twice and probably could still go to jail for crimes committed while president. And that's not going to mean a damn thing for his appointees. I don't get it. And even when the memo leaked, my thoughts on the memo leaking were it could have been a strategic way of drawing out the period of time in which the outrage was expressed. If it came out of left field with absolutely no forewarning, who knows what how much more violent the reaction could have been. And maybe by leaking it, even though of course they insist that they didn't leak it, maybe by leaking it they were hoping to sort of muffle that reaction a little bit. And it's impossible to say, right? The reaction's been pretty strident. But who knows? Maybe it would have been more strident. It's not like it's over. It's going to keep going. Right? Hopefully, right? People have already Uvalde what? Buffalo what? Yeah, to say nothing of like Philando Castile, right? Or Sanford or Sandy Hook, like all of these. It's hard to keep the outrage up. It's like we only have enough room in our collective consciousness to be outraged about one or two things. So when the third thing comes, it's got to push something out. And so there is a gun bill that's passing, or that they think is going to pass. But it's nowhere near what people wanted, but it's something, right? But anyway, what we were concentrating on was Roe v. Wade, right? And what the future effects of that are, because this, we've already seen, and we've heard in the arguments, these people, Gorsuch in particular, right, will talk about precedent like it's the end all be all. And it seems it just feels like this is a lot of groundwork laying for a session in the future whereby a whole bunch of other shit gets retracted, and they use their own rulings as precedent for these future rulings. And some of these rulings are lies, or the details within them are lies. I don't know if people probably heard about that high school football coach who was leading a prayer circle. It was not he wasn't just praying on the sidelines. He was leading a prayer circle of all the players who wanted to do it, right? I don't know if you've ever participated in high school sports, or actually I never participated in junior high school sports. I was still doing some sport in junior high school. But if it were I, right, and my coach encouraged me to be part of a prayer circle, I would know what that means, right? I would know that that's, do what this person says, or there will be repercussions. So that's a bunch of bullshit. And in the ruling, there were just some flat out misstatements that were made. They said that the coach lost his job, which he didn't actually lose his job. It read as if it was a prayer, he went off to the side of the field and prayed on his own. It wasn't. It was a team prayer. The wall between church and state is crumbling, while the wall between the United States and the rest of the world is being built. bad enough to be autocratic, right? Like, to be theocratic. That's then you have, oh God, that's the other thing. Like when you're talking about if you're getting in an argument with anyone, the moment that they say the Bible teaches us that, you can like at that point you just check out. Like, there's no rational discussion of. I mean, there's no rational discussion of people who say the Constitution says that, right? Like you can't have that kind of blind allegiance to outdated documents that may or may not be true, may have been written by people who may or may not have had the best intentions. It's weird, right? Like when Hamilton wrote about the branches of legislation, he wrote that the judicial branch was underpowered compared to the other branches, to the executive and executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. The judicial branch was underpowered. So it's ironic, right? Like they didn't get everything right. And I saw, was it Marjorie Taylor Greene? Oh no, maybe Lauren Boebert, who said that, well, they had Gatling guns when the Constitution was written, which they didn't. But still, like what is the rationale? What's the point there? The point is that they knew that like powerful guns existed. Like, wow. And I worry when these when we use these equivalencies, and when I say we, I mean right-thinking people who are, to wit, left-thinking people. I worry when we say stuff like, well, you can't say X and then also say Y, right? And point out these sort of contradictions in the logic of the way people are thinking, because the problem with that is like you can invert that. So I feel like, yes, it's fine to say like, it's fine to point out like the false equivalency of, okay, look, I'm saying that women don't have autonomy over their own bodies when it comes to abortion, but like I was really against the vaccine mandate, right? Like you can't really see those as things that are in opposition to each other, or you can. I mean, you can try and argue that, but either way, like you could do that equally from either side. You could, as someone who's anti-vaccine mandate, point out the contradiction for being, did I say pro-life? Anti-choice, like whatever, no euphemisms here. This is super, you're right, Ava. And for elementary school, I went to a non-secular school. It's interesting. And when Trump posed with the Bible, he was holding him upside down. Like it was so clearly like he didn't. It's just so performative, ridiculously performative. Doesn't mean anything to him. Not that, I mean, good on him. Like honestly, like maybe that's. I mean, he's not honest about it, right? Like, at least if you would say, like, yeah, I don't believe in God. If anything, I'm God. But he's clearly an agnostic, at least, and maybe one of the few points in his favor. But he's the worst kind of agnostic in that, of course, he will leverage verse whenever, it fits his agenda. Once somebody tells him that, hey, you could leverage this, you could say this. Okay, all right, yeah. Let me write it down on a pad with a giant black Sharpie. He wants no quid pro quo. What else do I have here? I'm going to talk more about cultural decay. We're talking about when I talked a little bit about this last week, but I think I get in a bit of a bind when it comes to discussing if I had to like have a debate with anybody about abortion, right? I would be a terrible person. I would be terrible at that because the typical anti-choice line is either life begins at conception, right? Or we're not sure exactly when we can say that life begins. And this is closer to the truth. We're not sure we can say exactly when life begins. So we can't really put a line and say like, this is the point at which, it's okay to abort up until this point, because we don't really know when that point is. We need to err on the side of caution. So even though me as an anti-choicer, which is not me, but I'm portraying another person here, as an anti-choicer, even though maybe I don't believe that like it's necessarily a human life the moment that the egg cell, the sperm penetrates the egg cell, or the egg cell, sorry. Maybe I don't believe that, but I don't know when it becomes a human life. So maybe it becomes a human life a week after that. Maybe it becomes a human life, or what I would think of as a human life, 6 weeks after that, but I don't know. And because I don't know, therefore, I need to err on the side of caution and basically say that life begins at conception. So that might be the sort of line that you get from anti-choicers, right? If I were presented with that, the problem would be like, I wouldn't argue it. My response would probably be, yeah, sure, okay, it's a baby. Yeah, it's probably dreaming little baby dreams, wiggling its little hands. It's a cute little baby. So what? Abort it. Like this, I don't make like. I feel like the definition of what we're calling life is we over-index on the word life and what it means to be alive, right? Even when people talk about like potential life, right? Like every time you fucking fap, right? You're killing millions and millions of potential lives, right? For me, and this is just my personal, and it gets into philosophy. It's not about science. It's not about science. So this is why I would be terrible in one of these arguments. Because for me, life is not about like, okay, did we tick off these boxes? Has it reached these particular milestones? For me, life is about, is it cruel, right? And can we mitigate it? What's the lesser cruelty, right? So I might even agree that like at a certain point, abortion is cruel, but it is the lesser of two evils. And like when it comes to just like the idea of like life, I'm not into the sanctity of life. Like I don't buy it. The only reason that I buy into anything to do with like the sanctity of life is the effect it has on other people. If you could kill somebody, theoretically, in a way that would cause them no pain, and by no pain, I mean like no pain beforehand either. That means no foreknowledge, right? You would just snap your fingers and they'd be gone, right? And in the same moment that you did that, you could also erase everybody's memory of that person. So there would be no lingering after effects of that person's disappearance, death/disappearance, effectively be a disappearance. Then I would be like, yeah, sure. I'd be hitting that button. No problem. Kill a person, get $1 million. Okay, yeah. I probably wouldn't hit the button, right? But philosophically in my head, I feel like I would be okay with it. again, like for me in that case, it would probably just be like, well, I don't really know what's going on here, so it's probably just safer. I'm speaking in an idealized fashion. I didn't have the "this thought is dumb" thing up, did I? I just don't think life is all that precious. I know life is precious in God and the Bible, but life is not all that precious. I like this. I mean, the sex strike, I think, was a good idea. I feel like definitely like the onus of this. I I kind of think. I mean, I guess the problem with a sex strike would be it would probably result in quite a bit of violence, and the people who would engage in the sex strike are probably the people who don't need to, and then the people who didn't engage in it are probably the ones that would need to do it in order for there to be actual change. But yeah, if women could, or if people who could have babies could band together and refuse to have sex until there were federally imposed protections for their right to have abortions, that shit would change fast. That would change fucking super fast. Problem is that's gonna endanger women, or endanger those people. And everything. This is not. I mean, the overturning is new, but like here's whatever. I don't know. It feels stupid to say the shit that everybody's already saying and everybody already knows. Like everybody knows what this is going to lead to. Everybody knows what it's going to cause, like the increase in suffering that it's going to cause. And I'm talking about like real tangible suffering, right? Not theoretical, supposed suffering that people are imagining, they saw Silent Scream, when they were growing up in school, they were shown Silent Scream or something, right? And they think that they were like, oh my God, the baby was screaming when it was aborted, which has been, obviously, that's been disproven. Fetuses do not scream. Well, at least not until a certain stage. But it just feels like it's difficult for me to like just repeat talking points about how it's going to increase violence against women. How it's going to increase like suicide. It's going to increase death by unsafe abortion. Like we know all this stuff, right? I mean, Roe v. Wade was put into place before I was born, but not long before I was born, I think. It was close enough that like there was plenty of like cultural touch points that I was engaged with in one way or another that as I was growing up, that reminded me of back alley abortions and the idea of the women giving themselves abortions using coat hangers. So that is, I mean, yeah, it's a long time. It's especially a long time when you think about like what a giant change it is and what it means for like the way that people think about the way they go about their lives. No, there's no two ways about it. It's just a long time. Oh man, Harlan Ellison. Great book, by the way. Yeah, Kelsey, this is spot on, right? Yeah. Yeah. And the people that you see advocating for sex strikes are generally like leftists. The same people who are pro-abortion, generally. Can you imagine a Lauren Boebert going on a sex strike? Like, she may go on a sex strike for all kinds of reasons, but it certainly wouldn't be for that reason. And her husband was accused of, like, arrested for indecent exposure. Who knows? Like men are fucking terrible, terrible beings. All kinds of.
I believe that truth will save the world.
All right. Was that right, Jordan?
I believe that truth will save the world. So
What's going to save the world?
I believe that truth will save the world. So
Yeah, I mean, just look at, like, sorry, I'm going against the grain here. I know it's, fuck. I know it's the thing to think that Johnny Depp was like an innocent bystander in a relationship and was himself like the victim of Amber Heard. I don't buy it. I don't think it's that simple. And I don't care what the ruling was. Guy was drunk all the fucking time. And is a belligerent person. You know, anyway. Yeah, and now, like, this is like careful what you wish for, right? Because it's pretty clear at this point that, oh, that reminds me. I mean, this is CNN. So take it with a grain of salt, but fuck, man. And I'm so ambivalent about this. I am completely of two minds when it comes to this. But there was an article that said apparently Hillary Clinton is considering another bid in 2024. And the Clintons are pieces of shit. The crime bill that Bill Clinton passed. Who knows how many people are still suffering from that? That was I don't understand how that piece of legislation was ever passed. Especially, Hillary Clinton was a prosecutor. Or no, she was a defense attorney. How many poor, disenfranchised people has that crime bill put in jail and left there? But excuse you, I don't feel like Hillary Clinton could win. And I don't like the Clintons. And I don't want DeSantis or Trump in the White House. Who do I want in the White House? Of the people in the field right now? Like, if I could just pick someone to be in the White House, who would I pick right now? I would pick AOC. That's who I would pick. Doesn't have enough experience? Sure. Well, how can you say that, when Trump is Trump? I feel like if we've gotten to the point where we're like, hey, let's try this fucking failed real estate developer who inherited tons of money from his parents and has been accused of sexual assault many, many, many times and paid off many, many people, is terrible at paying his bills and has likely committed tax fraud, talks about women in the most like disgusting ways you can imagine, has no political experience at all. Let's elect that person president, but people are going to be like, oh no, AOC is too young, right? AOC is too idealistic. Why don't we try that approach? Well, yeah, but this is the argument I've heard before, right? But you put AOC on a ticket, and I would vote on that ticket any day. But I don't know, like, in reality, I don't know what's going to happen in 2024. I can't imagine Biden running again. It just does not seem like that can happen. Like, he has to know that would be a catastrophic move. I mean, I don't even know. I'm talking about if I could wave a magic wand, right? And also, like, that's a stupid rule, right? 30. Let's say 30. I mean, 28. I just don't know. I really, like, I'm thinking who is going to be the Democratic candidate for president in 2024? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? This isn't true, Q. I mean, it's kind of true. But he has appointed a lot of judges. And that's really important. This is what I don't fucking know. Who can it be? This is why, like, when I saw that, like, Hillary Clinton was thinking of running, because there's, like, the landscape is so barren and just kind of, there are no names of any interest that are being floated, right? It scared me because it was like, oh, fuck. Someone with name recognition, someone who, predicted a lot of shit that was going to happen if Trump was elected. But she's also a horrible person. The Clintons are horrible people. And I feel like they're part of, like, the guard that they need to be shown the door. Yeah, Elizabeth Warren, I would vote Elizabeth Warren too. She was who I wanted to win once it became clear that, like, Bernie Sanders wasn't going to have a chance. I wanted Elizabeth Warren to win the primary. I don't know if I ever told you, but I ran into her once. Ran into Elizabeth Warren. In D.C. Yeah. I was in Washington, D.C. at a vegan restaurant. She jogged in. She was in jogging pants. Got I don't know what you got, smoothie or something. Jogged right back out. So because of that, actually Warren would be good. Yeah. Could we do a Warren AOC ticket? I could get behind that. I guess, well, I don't know if AOC can be vice president yet. But I do feel like, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have both kind of been underwhelming. Yeah, I do. I tried to find out, like, where I know Kavanaugh lives in Chevy Chase, Maryland, which is very, very close, right? And I know that they were protesting outside his house, but it actually was not that easy to find, or I couldn't find his actual address. I'm sure if I'd tried harder, perhaps I could have. But I see nothing wrong with protesting outside their homes. Like, I think people should be harassing the hell out of Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch. Like, do not give them and fucking, oh my God. Like, don't give them a moment's peace. Clarence Thomas, like, of the justices that voted to overturn Roe, one of them definitely sexually assaulted women, and another one of them 99% sure sexually assaulted women. So Clarence Thomas absolutely sexually assaulted Anita Hill, and who knows how many other people. And Brett Kavanaugh, he would be the outlier of the century if he had not engaged in some kind of pretty fucking terrible behavior. Yeah, hi, she was my pick as well. So, yeah, this seems to happen like at least once a year. But wow, it was like, was it 50 people or between 45 and 50 people? Oh, Indigo. Yeah, that is a good point. Good point. I don't know that I agree with you, but I think it's a pretty decent point. No, I didn't. But that's probably because I wasn't paying enough attention. I mean, Pavi, I'm not versed in this, so I can't really talk about the NATO summit. Like, tell me about it. Tell me what you want to talk about. Feel that air. Let's do this. Calm everybody down. Hold on, I'm going to dial the operator. Remember when you would dial the operator? Hello, operator. She would actually be there with quarter-inch jacks. I say she, I'm playing to a stereotype, which I shouldn't, but quarter-inch jacks, like connecting patch bays. It was like a electric light orchestra concert. Oh, Finland and Sweden are joining NATO, huh? I'm not sure how I feel about that. First, Indigo makes a good point, and then has a good question. But I'm not 100%. See, I don't know. Like, this is feeding into, like, I'm over here, right? I'm on the other side of the world, so it is easy for me to pontificate with the bravery of being out of range, right? But this is exactly what NATO was not supposed to do when it was initially set up. NATO was not supposed to infringe on, or not supposed to have countries. It was not supposed to be encircle Russia and make it feel threatened, right? That seems to be like where things are moving, and gives a justification for things that, and I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying it gives a pretense for actions that maybe, would be very much globally, well, I guess they are globally condemned anyway, but I don't know, man. Oh, I think I finally get what Indigo's doing here. Very funny. Okay. Turkey extorted Finland and Sweden in exchange for the NATO membership for weeks, and suddenly Turkey is now supporting us. I worry it has cost us an arm and a leg. I'm not sure. I'm constantly threatened by Russia is now getting security. Would rather see us attacked and killed like you. Me and my family don't count. Probably, of course, you and your family count. Like, everybody counts. First of all, I'm not 100% sure where you live. Do you live in Finland? You live in Sweden? Yeah, this isn't what I said, but well, I'm trying to I'm trying to understand what seems like a fairly complicated global policy, right? Like, NATO had a point when it was created, didn't it? Like, the whole thing that I'm talking about here is like not giving Russia any pretext to do any bullshit, right? Well, what I should do is just stick to talking about the U.S. Bobby, you asked me to talk about it. I'm just not versed in it. I don't know enough about it to speak about it in any way that's going to be helpful. I don't know, KJ. I mean, if it seems like extremely unlikely that Trump is going to run in 2024, then it seems like that wouldn't really be a great prompt. I mean, one of the reasons that I felt like that prompt was good was, it would help flesh out reasons why. It's too late, Pivy. You did this.
Tiptoe, tiptoe, I miss my tiptoe. He goes wherever I go. I miss my tiptoe.
You did that. I don't know. I don't know about misinformed. I don't know. I'm not gonna express my opinion when it comes to here. I'll just Google it. No, this is not what I want. I want the charter. What was the charter? I mean, NATO's not the end all. I guess maybe it is the end all be all. Oh, this is long as hell. This is really long. I can't do this now. I'll read it, but I can't read it now. Yeah, let's just talk Trump. Yeah, I can see this, Olivia. All right. Well, I think I'm going to dip. People still say that? I'm tired. And I have NATO articles to read. But thank you for hanging out. And I will... Well, actually, no. I'm not going to be here next week. Is it next week? Actually, no, I am going to be here next week. The week after, I won't be here. So that's a good... Pivy, where do you live? Like, what country do you live in? Pivy, what country do you live in? What country do you live in? Pivy, what country do you live in? Pivy, what country do you live in? Country, what country? What country do you live in? Finland? I mean, Monty Python wrote a song about your country. I don't want to wade into this, you know, like I feel like there's a huge difference between Finland and Ukraine. How about that? But I don't want to get into it until I buff up on my knowledge of the subject. Yeah, I know where you live, Indigo. Yeah, I see Pivy as a cat. Everybody sees Pivy as a cat. Indigo might be in an altered state of some kind.
Like, I don't know if that thing that they just did with the COVID is like panned out or not, but if it did, that's like somebody should probably be looking into that.
I can't say no comment. Indigo, I have to have an opinion about everything. No, I'm just tired. But yeah, thank you everybody for hanging out. I appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week. Take care.